Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
I'm Captain Valerie Littlejohn with the Office of Media Relations. We want to update you on an officer-involved shooting that occurred on November 15th, 2022. At approximately 10:25 a.m., officers were notified that a man with an out-of-state felony warrant was in a travel trailer at 14,000 Iron Road. Responding officers learned the suspect, Timothy Johnson, had been seen entering the trailer and were told that he had not come out.
Okay, so I'll back this up just to talk about this part right here. Alright, so notice the...
November 15th, 2022. At approximately 10:25
So notice the property here.
5 a.m., officers were notified that a man with an out-of-state felony warrant...
This is in a very rural area, so this is I guess you call a side street. The main road is off to the left over here. Not a whole lot of neighbors around here. It's a very kind of secluded area. So number one, with that being said, and you got to think, they're over in here. There's a lot of distance and trees right in here. There's not a house directly right across from this opening. So who the hell was watching this dude going in and out of the trailer? Somebody that he knows, or someone that she knew, is how they knew this person was there. It's not like in a busy like city kind of neighborhood where the houses are 2 fucking feet from each other. That would be more plausible. Someone just happened to look out their window and seeing someone. There is no, say this is I don't know if this is a house or not. Let's say this is a house. There's no looking out the window and seeing someone at this distance with all this shit in between go in and out of the damn house. So someone he knew ratted him out. Or she had a big fucking mouth and was telling that, you know, such and such was with them. They found out and they're like, hey, no. And they called in. Which is funny because that happens actually more than what you think. Criminals, you know, they do more than just victimize random people. They also do their own people wrong. They backstab their family. They steal from family. They just... So, yeah. He probably made some enemies along the way in his life. And somehow they figured out that he was staying with old girl. And they turned his ass in. So, that's number one. Number two... the nature of this call. It's a very rural area. We see lots of woods, lots of open space back here. And this guy has a felony warrant. He has a felony warrant out of Lincoln County, Missouri for felony burglary. I'm sure that he has more arrests, has more involvement with criminal justice system other than just that one-time burglary. I want to say they said he was 38 years old. People who are in their 30s just don't all of suddenly decide, no, I'm going to go commit a burglary today. No, they've been doing shit for a while. So I'd say that undoubtedly he probably has a bunch of other arrests and everything else. So with that being said, very rural area, and this guy has a felony warrant. I believe that this would dictate the need for officers to respond with their rifles out. Now, how they made the approach, I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, they would have had to have come down this road. Now, from this angle, where they're at, they're not going to be able to see through these woods very well. So I don't think that they noticed they were there until they pulled in to the property. Now, on this aerial, you can't see a whole lot.
was in a travel trailer at...
Well, actually, it goes the other direction. You can't see a whole lot on this aerial. On another aerial, I could see that there was a path from right in here going into there. But it's not very detailed. I tried to go find the Lincoln County Property Value Administration. Around here, we call it PVA. Apparently, there they call it Property Assessor or something like that. But usually, these county entities that have responsibilities for property taxes and stuff like that will have information on the property itself and aerial photographs to go with that. I couldn't find anything for this address, so I don't even think that this particular address actually shows up to any actual property on file, because even when I did a search for this address and like the Zillow or whatever popped up, the picture that was on Zillow was just from a street view of a bunch of fucking trees. Like there was no house in the background or anything like that. So whatever parcel of property this is on, it must come back to a different address. For example, it could be this house down here that this big chunk of property falls back to, and whatever this address would be technically what this falls under. It's just that as far as the block range within this road, this is roughly where this area correlates with right in there as far as block range. But anyway, I try to find those aerials because usually those entities, when they have the aerials, they take those photographs in the fall and winter when there's not so many leaves on the trees. Google will take their photos at any time of the year, and obviously this was taken during summer because there's a shit ton of leaves on the trees. That's not the best view that you can get when you have lots of thick foliage and canopy, hence why these county property value administrators or property assessors, whatever they're called in other places, will take those photographs in the fall and winter. In the video, there is a fence. When you see them coming out of the RV or travel trailer, or whatever the hell you want to call it, you can see in the background there's like a fence and a gate. I think that fence and gate is along here. If it's not along there, then it's along here, and this is an older image that doesn't show that very well. It's one of these two. Now, with that being said, these would be the only two ways that these people would have seen these officers show up. So, I think it was almost last minute that they noticed the police were there. And that's probably why he chose to hide under the bed. Now, hiding under the bed is not the best place to be hiding. It's like once you go into a room and you can see that there's no one physically standing in there, and all the other rooms have been cleared, usually, going in under the beds is the next thing to be done. Like everyone knows, check under the bed, right? It's a dumb place to hide. But I think that the police had rolled up and he thought that he could not do anything else without being spotted. Realistically, with as much junk that there was on this property and everything, I think it probably would have been realistic for him to be able to escape out of the little RV thing and just beat feet and go back towards here. Go out into this brush, or even go in behind this building and do a little peekaboo thing. And once he saw them go inside the little trailer thing, he could beat feet off into the woods and go hide it out until they left. Had he done that, there probably would not have been a shooting involved, and the police probably just would have left after that point. Unless they saw him exiting it and running out into the field and go out into the woods, they're not going to go out and search those fucking woods. They're just not going to be that fucking motivated, especially with it being cold out. They're not going to fucking want to go tromp through all this shit. Number one, they don't even know what the property lines are. They could be going into someone else's property. But first of all, and what would be most important to them, it's fucking cold outside. They don't be trumping through this damn field in these woods looking for someone unless they saw him go into those things. So this dude had the opportunity to completely evade them, but for whatever reason, he thought that the best low-risk thing was hiding under the bed, which in reality, that ended up being the most high-risk choice for him to make. Because hiding under a bed is fucking stupid, and it doesn't even always work in the movies. Like, even in the movies, people were found hiding under a bed. But this rural area, this would have dictated, in my opinion, why a rifle should be the preferred thing to go to. So what if he did exit out of that trailer and go out in this field and they saw him and they started to give chase and he started shooting back, or just started shooting at them and they had to fire back? It would be better to do that with a rifle versus a pistol. Moving on.
14,000 Iron Road. Responding officers learned the suspect, Timothy Johnson, had been seen entering the trailer and were told that he had not come out. Johnson had been seen entering the trailer.
So this place is just messy. Like, it is dirty. You see all this like shit sitting around. They got a chair out here with an AC unit on it and just a bunch of fucking junk. You can tell that it's cold enough outside to where there's snow, and some of the snow has not melted, especially within the shadowed area. Now, out there, you don't see any snow because the sun's hitting it, but over in here, I'd say this is probably covered pretty well with sun. It just hasn't melted all the way yet. But anyway, there's that fence I was talking about. That's where I was talking about the aerial, so I think it was kind of off to the side. But just a messy property. And the inside is messy too. I don't know how people live like this. I really don't. Like, this just looks like shit. Like, how do you come home every day and think that this is acceptable? It's not. Like, it's a fucking pigsty. Unfortunately, some people think that this is an acceptable way to live.
And were told that he had not come out. Upon arrival at the scene, officers met with Jennifer Gerner, who lives in the trailer. What? Gerner told officers there was nobody inside the trailer. She then gave officers consent to search the trailer, allowing the 3 officers to make entry.
She told us to go in. It's her trailer. Sammy! This is the police department! Sure.
Okay, so when I had the aerial up, I talked about it being a very rural area, and that would be the benefit of having a rifle. So I'll go a little bit more into the rifle stuff. So like I noted, one, they're in a very rural area. So if they go outside of this structure, a rifle is going to be the most preferred thing for longer distance shooting. Aside from that, the nature of the call they're going on. They're going up against a person who is wanted. They're a fugitive from justice. That has the potential, the increased potential for a deadly force encounter to occur. So, if you have an increased likelihood of a deadly force encounter occurring, or you're going to a lethal force kind of call where shots have been fired, that in and of itself dictates that you get a rifle out. A rifle is the best thing you can have in an armed conflict, a deadly force encounter. A rifle is going to be more accurate and it's going to have better incapacitating power with its terminal ballistics. So a rifle has a long barrel on it. There's more points of contact. Right, you got the pistol grip, you got the forearm up there, you got the butt stock that you can drive into your shoulder, do a cheek hold, and got a sling on there. If you want, you can put that sling on the support arm, elbow area, and tension that gun even further back into your shoulder, reducing by a lot the littlest amount of movement that could be interjected into that overall platform. which thus means it's going to be more accurate. More points of contact, more accurate, right? A pistol, very short barrel, and only 2 points of contact on that thing. Your two hands. That's all you got. There's no stock on this damn thing to brace it up against your shoulder and do a cheek weld on it. It's just your two hands. So even with two hands on the gun and shooting the handgun, just the movement of your trigger finger can cause that gun to move, and move enough to where, depending on the distance, your shot could be off by several inches or even a couple feet and not even hit the target. So obviously, when it comes to pistol accuracy, the best thing is front sight focus and trigger control. But sometimes in stress and everything, the trigger gets jerked a little bit. And when that jerking motion occurs, that can cause, depending on left-handed or right-handed, that gun to go off to the side by quite a bit. Up close and personal, bad breath distance, it's not going to be that noticeable. As you start adding increments of distance, then it becomes noticeable. You see it on target, be a couple inches off. The further it goes out, a couple feet off. And even in this environment right here, let's say back here against this wall right here from where she's standing, you could miss the target completely shooting at them with a pistol if you're not doing it right. So, with that being said, her grip, she is essentially having a one-handed grip on this gun. If two hands is the only points of contact you have on a gun to make it stabilized, to be more accurate, then essentially what that means is when you take one hand off, or you don't have that second hand on there being able to take up the good grip, you're just shooting that gun one-handed. And that means your accuracy is slashed in half. I see this a lot. People holding flashlights in one hand and then trying to get a two-handed grip with the gun. That just doesn't work. It never does work. It just means that you're now holding the gun and will be shooting the gun one-handed. So there are better techniques than this right here. Number one, this hand right here, her wrist area could have gone up under this wrist area right here and have the flashlight kind of slaved to the side of the gun right there to be able to do a search. She could take the flashlight and bring it to her neck, bring it to the temple, bring it up and out, whatever. There's a few different techniques as far as low light weapons handling is concerned when using handheld flashlights. Now, it's not super critical at this moment for her to have a flashlight. We can see lots of daylight coming in through these blinds. It's pretty well lit in here. But the other room could have blackout curtains in there. There could be dark spaces in there that you just can't see very well. So nothing wrong with her wanting to have a flashlight out. I just don't think that this is the best technique to be trying to use. Now, when it comes to weapon-mounted lights versus handheld lights for searching, there's two schools of thought on this. First one is don't use your weapon-mounted light for searching. Use a handheld light, and then when you come across a target, that's when you can activate your weapon-mounted light. Second school of thought is it's okay to use your weapon-mounted light to do searching. The people who say don't use your weapon-mounted light for searching, they say the negative thing about that is you are then using your weapon-mounted light for searching, and that means that you are pointing your gun at things that you may not be willing to destroy. Okay, I understand where they're coming from with that. Cardinal rule of firearm safety. Don't point your gun at anything unless you're willing to destroy it. All right, I get that. But what are they going to do when they do come across a person in this building? they're going to be pointing their fucking guns at them. Right? That's the inevitable part right there. You're in a structure, you're searching for someone, you come across them, your fucking gun's going to be pointed at them. So what the fuck does it matter if you're using your weapon-mounted light to do the searching? For me, it doesn't matter. I am a believer in using weapon-mounted light for searching. Now, not all the time, but I do think that for the most part, it's acceptable. Because once you find someone, guess what? You're going to be pointing your fucking gun at them.
Here, you need to make yourself known. All right.
Just check out how messy this place is. Like, it is just straight fucking messy. Nasty ass shit, man. Nasty.
I don't think so.
Okay, so excuse me. She goes in with her handgun. He comes in with his handgun, but he also has a less lethal shotgun. Typically, less lethal shotguns will have bright colored furniture on them for the stock and the pump. Some places it's orange, some places use yellow, some places use green. LAPD is notorious for using the color green, or like a neon green, to denote what is a less lethal weapon. But yellow and orange are also used. So, sure, yeah, they're going in. At least they brought a less lethal option to try and use against the guy. I can't, fault them for that. At least they're doing their due diligence and saying, hey, we try to go in there and have the means to bring a non-lethal resolution to this. Unfortunately, he's just not in the position to be able to use it. If they was going to be dedicated to wanting to try and use less lethal to begin with, then personally I think that he should have had his gun holstered up and have the shotgun out and ready to deliver the impact munitions. She's already got her lethal gun out. The other guy's got his lethal gun out. There's lethal cover there. So he's covered in being able to just go hands-on with the less lethal device there. Alright, so I will play this part of her video and let it go to the end, and then I'll go back and talk a little bit more.
Sammy! Hey. Alright, yeah, we're clearing the trailer. Look at that. You see that, right?
What? A bag?
Is that a bag or is that a vest? That's a vest.
Okay.
Huh?
You clueless?
While searching the trailer, officers lifted a mattress that covered a storage area. When the mattress was lifted, officers saw suspect Johnson hiding in the storage area armed with a pistol. He aimed the pistol at the officers, which resulted in an exchange of gunfire.
Gun! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Come out with your hands up!
Come out with your hands up!
Come out with your hands up!
Come out with your hands up! When we do this?
Alright, so we'll back this up.
Hey. I don't think expensive.
Here's a cheeseburger. So they must have interrupted this guy around the time that he was planning on eating.
Sammy!
So she completely walked by this door right here, this bathroom, without even trying to clear it. I don't think that was the brightest thing to be doing. I don't think you should be going past rooms like that without having cleared them first, because one, someone could come out and pop you in the back, or two, that person could come out and then while they're in the middle, you're on this side and the other person that you're with is on the other side. Now if you both point your guns at the dude, you're in a crossfire situation. So as you move forward, each room needs to be cleared before proceeding forward.
Hey. Alright, yeah, we're clearing the trailer. Look at that. You see that, right?
What? A bag?
Is that a bag or is that a vest? That's a vest.
Okay.
So when she says vest, I'm assuming that she's obviously talking about a ballistic vest, which is interesting. Not all criminals use body armor or have body armor. Some of them do. But what I found of particular interest is she pointed out there's a vest in there, and then when they lift the mattress, you actually see what looks like one of those tactical backpacks in there with the guy. I tried to do some searching for this guy's name. I couldn't really find any history on him and anything. So I don't know if he has any background as far as, tactical stuff goes, military background, police security background, whatever. Him being involved in felony burglaries, I wouldn't think that he probably does, but just the mentioning of the vest alone and then having that tactical pack in there with him, that was enough to stick out to me to want to try and do some searching on it. Unfortunately, I just couldn't find anything.
Huh?
You clueless?
While searching the trailer, officers lifted a mattress that covered a storage area. When the mattress was lifted, officers saw suspect Johnson hiding in the storage area armed with a pistol. He aimed the pistol at the officers.
So this officer right here transitions his handgun from his dominant hand to his non-dominant hand,
which resulted in an exchange.
so that he can reach down to lift up this mattress. I don't think that was the greatest move on his part. Now, you should be able to shoot your gun with your non-dominant hand. Like, that's something that you should train and practice for. But to transition your fighting weapon out of your hand so that you can use it for some other task is not the best thing to be doing, in my opinion. How they're positioned is not the best.
With a pistol. He aimed the pistol at the officers, which resulted.
So he now has a handgun in a non-dominant hand that he's not going to be as good with as he is his dominant hand, and she does not have a gun out at all. The third officer, who is behind them at this point, does not have a clear line of sight to this right here. All he can see is these two officers. So that third officer has no ability to provide lethal cover. And he is the one who should be providing the lethal cover because he has a rifle. You'll see his video here in a little bit. So when they go to open this bed, there's not good coverage. Realistically, what should have been done is one of them should have stepped off to the side, or both of them step off to the side, and then lift up while the guy with the rifle is able to get a bead on the inside of this compartment right here. I think that probably would have ended the scenario a lot quicker and would have had a better outcome.
In an exchange of gunfire.
So there's that tactical pack that I was talking about. You can kind of see the little padded things for the pack right there. It's kind of camouflage looking too. So I just thought that was kind of a unique thing, I guess you could say. But holy shit, like imagine like pulling this motherfucker up and then boom, there's another person there. And they've got a gun. So searching for people and then all of a suddenly finding them by surprise like this, that's a pucker factor right there. That's like, oh shit, motherfucker kind of moment, right? I just can't imagine the feelings that they were having. One, when they found the guy, but then two, boom, they noticed a damn gun coming out.
In an exchange of gunfire.
So she was unable to do anything, both hands up on the thing, and this officer just one-handed with non-dominant hand, unable to do a whole lot. He could have started firing. I think he might have got one round off. I'm not 100% sure. It's not very accurate as far as what the details are. Now they beat feet out of there. They go into flight mode, right? So fight or flight's happening. They are immediately in flight. They're getting the fuck out of there.
Good.
Then she runs to the worst possible place to go to. The worst possible place. She's going right behind the suspect. Back this up some. So you see this officer here with the rifle. He's shooting at that guy who's in the bed. Right? This bed, let me back this up a little bit more so you have a little bit better view. So this is elevated, right? Like you got to go up the step and up this step to get into this room. Notice this upper window right here. The wall right there. All right, moving forward.
Good. Good.
So right up above here is where that window was at. So where she goes is basically damn near right up under the bed where this guy is hiding at. So that guy with the rifle that's shooting at the bad guy, his bullets could be coming through this away. And this is where she decides to go hide at. not the best place to be going. She could have very easily caught a rifle round. The exterior of these things is not very thick. It's almost like a trailer, right? Bullets. If you go to a manufactured home, go to a trailer park, and you start shooting at the side of a trailer with a .22, chances are you're going to go through the entire fucking trailer. From the front to the back. No problem whatsoever. So the interior stuff, all this stuff is not thick at all. Those 5.56 rounds could very easily punch through all this. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a hole through there from where he fired through the bed and the floor and everything.
Shots fired.
So their fight or flight ends as far as the flight goes, and then they decide to go back and get re-engaged into the fight.
Come out with your hands up!
Come out with your hands up!
Come out with your hands up!
Come out with your hands When we do this?
Alright, so this guy has the rifle, and he has the best weapon for this. Now, sadly, He's not even all the way into the structure before they start lifting this mattress thing.
Yup.
He says, yup. So I guess he's responding to her saying, can you cover? So he wasn't even in a good position to provide cover anyway. So this whole thing of what they did and how they did this thing was just totally wrong. They're lucky that dude down here didn't get a leg or pelvic shot on this officer right here. Now I'll go into the medical stuff and talk about medical stuff, and especially its importance in this because they're in such a very rural area. But they're lucky.
Good.
Shots fired.
All units 1033.
Come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands up. So you gonna cover up?
All right.
Good.
Now I want you to pay attention to this wall right here. You're going to start seeing some holes in it. Before we get to that point, this officer, fight or flight kicked in for him, and his first option was the fight. He didn't run. Alright, so you see a boom, a hole goes in there.
Shots fired. All units 1033.
Come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands
Now there's multiple holes right in here. So why is this happening? There is an offset when it comes to rifles and sights. So with a pistol, which you can kind of see this one in the screen right here, the sights on the pistol are sitting, just right there on top of that barrel. There's not that much of a distance between this axis and the sights right there, right? Not that much distance. With a rifle, the sights sit higher. So if we're looking at this pistol right here, if there were the equivalent of where a rifle's the tip of the post right here for a rifle, it would be possibly going up here to where the axon symbol is, roughly. And that could be with iron sights. So just even with a standard AR with fixed sights on there, iron sights, that top notch, that post and notch, or the notch, the peep in the back, is going to be well higher than this, roughly right in there, possibly, maybe right up into there. So your red dot sight that sits on top of the gun, it too is going to be sitting high. Now, depends on how you have that red dot sight on there. There are some guys who are putting these high-rise mounts on their AR, and those damn things stick super fucking high. So when you have barrel, it's line. Let's say there's a laser coming out of this barrel right here. You have this line right here, right? And then your sights So imagine a laser coming off the top of that sight right there for this pistol. Those two will be super close together. Now, rifle sight, say it's right up in there. So your laser's coming out of here, and then lasers coming out of there. You could imagine there's a lot of offset right there, a lot of distance. So this happens with rifles at close distances. And is why it's taught that at very close distances, if you want to have your rounds go into a particular spot, then you need to raise your sight up. So let's say they're, at this close distance right here, and this guy wanted to put a round into the suspect's tee box. Right in his nose, right in his snot box. You wouldn't put your red dot on the nose at this close distance. You would actually put that red dot at the top of his head, or maybe slightly a little bit higher, depending on what the distance is. And then pull the trigger, and that's where that round is going to hit, is in the nose. So he's putting his red dot on the bed from his angle, what he can see, but he's not accounting for offset. So that's why we see rounds hitting this frame right here. So I see this a lot when you see like barriers at a shooting range, like the plywood that has like multiple cutouts in it and everything, or there's a window simulation kind of barrier thing. You'll oftentimes see a lot of bullet holes right around where the barrel would be at, and that's because people are not taking into account offset. So at close distances, you have to raise your sight up a little bit to get your rounds to go exactly where you want them, or else you're going to run into this issue right here of rounds hitting shit. Now, this is very thin material. Are those rounds going through and hitting the guy? Potentially. They're going to be deflected. They're going to be probably deviated in some way. Anytime a bullet passes through material, it's going to change it in some way. It's not going to be 100% going into exactly where you wanted it to go into when it has to pass through material, like on windshields, right? Where you aim at is not necessarily mean where that bullet's going to go land at, because it has to pass through material first, and that material can deviate its flight path. There's no silencer on this rifle. Now, I've talked about silencers before in other videos when I see them, but I might as well talk about it now in this context because we don't see one at all. If you've ever shot a gun in an enclosed space, then you understand how fucking loud it is. It is super loud. Even if you shoot a rifle outside and there's no walls around, it's still loud. Super, super loud. Now imagine shooting that damn thing inside a structure. Silencers are one of those things that I think is necessary to have on a fighting rifle. So a fighting rifle, in my opinion, needs to have a red dot sight, weapon-mounted light, sling, and silencer. The silencer is going to protect your hearing in the short term and in the long term. So long term wise, that just means that you're just not going to have hearing related damages and issues later on in life. Having that random fucking tinnitus go off. Ringing of the ears. So when I was way younger, of course there were times that I would not always wear hearing protection like a dummy. And, when I was way younger than that, wearing headphones, playing music, full blast, going to venues and just being indoors and listening to the loud music, being around the speakers and everything, being around explosions and stuff, that has taken a toll on my ears. And so I have hearing damage. And there will be times where I'm just, I'll be in the room, no TV blaring, nothing, not any sounds going on, and I get random ass fucking ringing in the ears. Like, that shit sucks. And I'm hard of hearing too. I have to sometimes say, huh, what? Say it again, multiple times before I figure out what the hell someone's saying. So in the long term, this can help you prevent that. In the short term, it protects your hearing so that you're not experiencing the harsh ringing sensation in the ears, and you can communicate more effectively. So when it comes to communicating, those who can shoot, move, and communicate the best are typically the ones who win. And communications are critical in armed conflicts. So it allows you to be able to talk to your teammates after shooting, and you can still talk and yell, and people understand what the hell you're saying when other people are shooting and they've got silenced guns. So it's really a great tool to have on your gun, your rifle. And of course, it reduces muzzle signature and everything too. But obviously, that wouldn't be a huge benefit in this scenario right here. The huge benefit is preserving your fucking hearing so you can hear what the hell's going on. Now, silencers are not silent. I don't think that silencer is the best word for them, but that is the legal terminology for them. That's what's on the patent when the damn thing was invented, and that's what's on all the ATF paperwork. A lot of people refer to them as suppressors, and realistically, I think suppressor is the best word for it, because that's realistically what it does. It just suppresses the noise. It doesn't silence it at all. That's completely inaccurate. Number one, Hollywood does a huge disservice on many things, and one of them is the illustration of silencers. They are not that fucking quiet, what you see in a movie. For a rifle, it's still loud. It's still loud, right? It's still loud, but it's hearing safe loud, so it doesn't cause hearing damage. Moving on.
Cody, you gonna come right there when we do this? Good.
Shots fired.
So he takes the shotgun off and slings it. Or not slings it, but like ditches it. He throws it. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of doing that. He has a sling on it. All he has to do is keep pushing it around to his back and then have the shotgun oriented across his back versus the front. Then he can still retain that weapon, maintain the security over it. By ditching it like this, it then becomes available to be touched by anyone. Now, you may be thinking, well, it's a less lethal shotgun. What's that matter? Well, it does matter because you can't shoot anywhere you want on a person. You only have certain areas that you can shoot somebody with a beanbag gun. You can't shoot them in the head with it because it will fucking kill them. Or it can kill them or seriously fuck them up. So, from that standpoint alone, I don't like the idea of ditching that because this other person, this woman, where is she? She might not know that that's a less lethal shotgun. She might think it's an actual real true shotgun that just has orange stuff on it. And she may pick it up and try to use it. And she might get a lucky unintentional shot on one of these officers' head and ends up killing them. If they have to back off and lose their space and he comes into contact with that shotgun, he may not know it's less lethal. He may think it's real. And same thing. So I would have been more of a fan of him just continuing to push on that shotgun, grab that stock, and just push and rotate it to where the bore goes up around the back, and just have the shotgun slung around the back that way, and still retain it and maintain security over it.
Come out with your hands up!
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 I'm hit. We're stuck inside the trailer. I'm hit in the face.
Stay on here and just go.
We gotta get out.
Timothy! Hey, come out with your hands up! Back out of the trailer. Back out of the trailer.
You all go first.
Go. Go. I got you. Go. Lock your injured. Go.
All three officers then backed out of the trailer to an area of safety. The police tactical unit was activated and responded to the scene. Attempts to contact suspect Johnson were unsuccessful, and the tactical unit ultimately made entry into the trailer where they found him deceased. During the firefight, one officer was struck in the face by flying debris. The injury was non-life-threatening, and he was treated and released at an area hospital. Flying debris. The injury was non-life-threatening, and he was treated and released at an area by flying debris. The injury was not.
So, another thing that sticks out to me is he starts to take a two-handed grip on this gun. So, the vest, this tactical bag down here with him, and how he is starting to grip the gun. Those things right there just make me wonder, like, does this guy have something to his background that is more than just a common criminal?
Life-threatening, and he was treated and released at an area hospital. It was discovered Gerner knew suspect Johnson was hiding.
All right, back this up some more.
I got you. Go. Back out of the trailer.
You all go first.
Go. Go. I got you. Go. Lock your.
So the best thing to provide cover leaves first. Personally, I think he should have been the one to maintain his spot, have the two people, one who's injured, go out. But really, for them to go out first because they have the lesser quality weapons in this game right here. He has the best weapon in this fight. It's a rifle. So he should be the last one out that door. He should be the one providing cover while they exfil.
Ranger, go.
So, here's another rant. A fucking radio without a lapel mic on it. I hate this shit. I hate this shit with a fucking passion. I don't know why people still do this shit. I have suspicions, but other than that, like, it just makes no sense to me. You have to dedicate your hand to taking the radio out of its pouch, or in this case, he's got the swivel mount on it. He has to dedicate that hand to holding that radio. What if the fight starts again? What if that dude starts shooting out that fucking side window at them? He's got this radio in his hand. There's a damn good chance he's going to drop that radio and respond to that threat by going to the rifle. And then he's going to potentially move away from that area. So then what's that mean? It means he's dropped his radio and he's now away from it. Now there's two other officers there who got their radios. They would most likely have theirs on them, so that wouldn't be a big issue. But, you know, what if this guy was by himself? What if he's by himself on something and he has to respond to contact in the middle of holding a fucking radio in his hand and it gets dropped and then he gets separated from it? How the hell is he going to let other people know? How the hell is he going to tell people he's been shot, he's bleeding? So I do not believe that this is acceptable. In my opinion, portable radios for public safety, especially for law enforcement security, should have a remote microphone on it. Shoulder mic, lapel mic, whatever you want to call it. The fucking little speaker box with a cord on it that attaches to the side. They should all be equipped with that. That is the most efficient thing to be able to use, and it's the safest thing to be able to use. You can have that little lapel mic clipped right there. All you got to do is reach up, click the button, talk, let go. And your radio stays attached to your body. This method right here just increases the chance that you could drop it and become separated from it. And you don't want to be separated from your means of communication.
All three officers then backed out of the trailer to an area of safety. The police tactical unit was activated and responded to the scene. Attempts to contact suspect Johnson were unsuccessful, and the tactical unit ultimately made entry into the trailer where they found him deceased. During the firefight, one officer was struck in the face by flying debris. The injury was non-life-threatening, and he was treated and released at an area hospital. It was discovered Gerner knew suspect Johnson was hiding inside the trailer with a gun when she gave consent to search. This led to officers entering the trailer where they were ambushed by the suspect. Gerner was arrested on a complaint of harboring a fugitive. All three officers have been...
Personally, I think she should be charged with more than that. At the very least, she should be charged with either A, murder, because this guy ended up dying from this incident, or B, attempted murder, because this guy attempted to kill those police officers. And she's responsible for that. She could have told them, he's in there, he's got a gun. And this could have been avoided. Would it have turned into a standoff? Possibly. But there's a good chance that those officers would not have gone in there, and that officer would not have been struck in the face with debris from this gunfight. So I think she should have been charged with more than just harboring a fugitive. Unfortunately, though, sometimes some of those other things can be hard to prove and get a guilty conviction out of. But I think they should have tried to do more than just give her a fucking harboring a fugitive charge. Because, I mean, that could be, knocked down, plea dealed very easily. Like, she's probably not going to have much punishment over that one single charge. If she don't even have a criminal background. Probably not likely. But if she does have a clean record, and that's the only thing she's got, she's going to get off pretty easy on it. She's not going to be doing the maximum time that could come with that charge, or have to pay the maximum fine for that. The court's going to have leniency on her. Even if she does have a bit of a criminal background, still it's something that could probably be pled down. The prosecutor might not want to mess with it. Don't want to, take it to trial. Like, all right, you plead guilty to this, you get, X amount of months or in jail, or you get, this time on probation. That's most likely to happen. So she's not going to get much out of this when she should be, because she put their lives at risk. She got that guy killed, in my opinion. She's responsible for that dude's death. Of course, you see the newer generation Glock here. You can see the slide plate right there to be able to be removed and put an optic on there. Him being involved in a burglary. Who knows if this is what he stole or not. No idea. Could be his. I wish that they would have provided more information on that. And I wish that in other videos where bad guys have guns, they provide more information on where the gun came from. I think that's an important thing, because a lot of times felons come into possession of guns by stealing them or buying them from other felons who have stolen them out of cars. That's the bulk of where they come from. And I think that's important for people to know, so that they stop leaving their guns in the center console of their car, or stop leaving it on the nightstand or in the nightstand at home when they leave and go to work for 8, 10, 12 hours out of the fucking day. You just leave these guns easily accessible, easily operable to unauthorized people. Then they steal them and they use them in shit like this. So medical. So I wanted to go touch on medical real quick. They're potentially out in the sticks, right? Let's see if I can back this up. Potentially out in fucking BFE, right? Like I don't see anything that indicates that like a downtown area or something. Like maybe down this way potentially,
Approximately 10:25
but it's just very rural area, very rural.
a.m.
So how long?
November 15th, 2022. At approximately 10.
Damn, that thing zooms in fast. I wish that the fast forward thing didn't jump so far. I could do it like second by second. All right, so this I think is the main road, right? And then this is the road that they pulled on into. So, how long would it take for an ambulance to get out there? I don't know. I don't know shit about this area. I mean, for all I know, there's a fire station on this road just right down the way from them. I don't know. But them being in a very rural area, I would suspect that most likely 7 to 10 minutes is probably the response time for an ambulance. That's a long time to be waiting for an ambulance. And 7 to 10, that's kind of an average thing. Realistically, it could probably take 20 minutes for an ambulance to get all the way out to where they're at. Again, like I said, I don't know the layout of this place, or anything like that. But there are some rural areas where it does take 20 minutes for an ambulance to get there. Even at the best opportune times for them to be traveling, when there's less traffic on the road, late in the evening at night, or late in the afternoon, less cars. Even then, speeding and running lights and siren, it still takes, in some places, 20 minutes to get there. That is a long, 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 long time to be waiting to receive pre-hospital care for a traumatic injury. So that is why it is important to have medical equipment on you and to have the knowledge on how to use that. Because it could take a while before anyone gets there to help. And if you don't have the tools or the knowledge to deal with traumatic injuries, what are you going to do? If you're with your partner, your buddy, family member, whatever, and something bad happens to them, you don't have any medical gear, you don't know shit about medical, what are you going to do? Are you going to hold their hand and watch them die? And maybe even frantically yell at the 911 dispatcher. That's it. That's all you're going to be able to do if you don't have the tools or the knowledge to do anything. I don't like those options. Sitting there, staring at someone, holding their hand as they bleed to death is not a good fucking option. That's a shitty option. I am a firm believer that if you're going to carry a gun for a living, you must carry medical gear for a living. If you're going to train on how to use deadly physical force against a person, you should also train to use life-saving measures on a person. It may not just be bad people that you have to use this on. It could be you yourself. If you're carrying a gun for a living, whether you're police, security, armed citizen, whatever, you must realize the fact that you could be involved in a gunfight, and that in gunfights, bullets go both directions. It's a two-way range. Your ass could be shot. So would you not want the tools and the knowledge to be able to fix yourself? Not fix yourself, but to help yourself. Your family members, your co-workers. You need to have the tools and the knowledge to be your own first responder. Right? You need to have the tools and the knowledge to be your own quote-unquote medic. Now, when it comes to medical care in armed conflicts, deadly force encounters, the best training, in my opinion, is TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care. A lot of police agencies and security companies, at a bare minimum, will do CPR, AED, first aid classes for their personnel. That's great from the CPR, AED aspect of it, but when it comes to the first aid stuff, it's not that great, because the first aid material in those classes is very watered down and does not specifically relate to providing trauma care to a person resulting from an armed conflict type of scenario. The first aid stuff within, American Red Cross or American Heart Association, it's very broad. So it covers things like environmental emergencies, hypothermia, hyperthermia, what to do, how to recognize signs of heat stress, how to treat a person who has gone into heat stroke, how to recognize signs of hypothermia and treat a person who has hypothermia, and goes into a person having anaphylactic shock, how to assist that person with delivering their EpiPen, a person who has asthma, and how to assist them with taking their inhaler, hazardous material stuff, or it goes in more like kind of like scene safety, how to recognize a potential dangerous scene, like you see some chemical barrels laying over on their side, some funky looking stuff on the ground, and people are laying on the ground. Like that's, you don't walk into that because you could end up on the ground with them. So it goes over all that stuff, and then in the first aid stuff, the quote unquote trauma stuff, it just goes into apply direct pressure and wrap bandage around it. Yeah, we always want to apply direct pressure, so that's good knowledge to have, but it doesn't go into in-depth discussion of tourniquets, pressure bandages, hemostatic agents. It does not go into chest seals or nasopharyngeal airways or anything like that. It just very, very loosely touches on, direct pressure, how to apply this, how to do the chest compressions that provide assisted ventilation, may even go into how to put a face mask on a person to deliver those assisted ventilations, may briefly go into how to use the bag valve mask, but it just does not do any of that stuff any justice because it very lightly touches on it. So a CPR, AED, first aid class alone is not enough. It's not enough at all. Realistically, all those classes are good for, in my opinion, is having a person be better knowledgeable on how to perform CPR and how to work the AED. What you want is a good foundational knowledge that comes from a TCCC type of class, TACMED. Because that stuff is going to be more useful and more effective because it is stuff that has been studied and worked on since the late 90s and is evidence-based. All the statistics from armed conflicts have been studied, and the acronym of MARCH is used, and M stands for massive hemorrhaging. And that is the top leading cause of death on the quote-unquote battlefield. Now, is domestic law enforcement here in continental United States a battlefield? No. We don't have, at least not right now, we don't have fucking improvised explosive devices. We don't have artillery rounds. We don't have tanks firing heat rounds. We don't have rocket-propelled grenades or hand grenades being thrown around or anything like that. It's just basically small arms fire. Even when you take those other things out of the data set and you just have small arms fire, still massive hemorrhaging is going to be the leading cause of death. And then you go into airway, respiration, circulations, and hypothermia. And so you start at the very beginning with M, massive hemorrhaging. And with that, you've got tourniquets, you've got hemostatic agents, and your pressure bandages to be able to deal with massive hemorrhaging. And you just don't get that in-depth knowledge on those things with just a basic American Heart or Red Cross CPR 80 first aid class. It just does not exist in there. Using chest seals on a person when they've been shot in the chest and could have a sucking chest wound. How to prevent that tension pneumothorax from setting in. Those things are the things that save people's lives. Way better than the standard, methodology that domestic EMS utilizes. You'll notice that in the video, they do carry tourniquets. Let's see if I can bring it up on her.
Gunfire aimed the pistol at the officers, which resulted in an exchange.
Well,
Pistol at the officers, which
I think his is right there on his belt. I'll go to his video real quick.
Shots. Your hands up. There when we do this.
So you'll notice she has a tourniquet mounted to the front of her holster right there. So they are carrying at least medical equipment on them. And at bare minimum, if you're going to carry anything at all on you, you only want to carry one thing. A tourniquet should be that thing that you carry. Because again, going into March, you start with M, massive hemorrhaging. That's going to be the most likely cause of death when it comes to armed conflict. And a tourniquet is a good piece of kit to have on you. Of course, you could, improvise if you had to, but improvisation should not be your first choice. Having a specific tool to use should be that first choice that you use. So, aside from that, being able to have other stuff on you, yes, it does take up room. Can you carry a whole trauma kit on you? No, you can't. You're not going to be able to carry a whole fucking trauma bag on you. But you can carry some things that would address the beginning of March on you. A medical ankle holster. I have a video on here about a medical ankle holster from, I think it's North American Rescue. I can't remember the name of it. You can have a bunch of different stuff in a medical ankle holster, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. It doesn't print a whole lot. If you carry an ankle gun as a backup gun, there's no reason why you couldn't carry a medical ankle holster on your opposite ankle. You can carry a very small blowout kit on there. You have a tourniquet in there. You have a hemostatic dressings in there. You have a nasopharyngeal airway, small roll of duct tape, some gloves, whatever. You can put a bunch of stuff in there, and it just doesn't take up a whole lot of room at all. They appear to have outer vests, and in that one view, you could see his vest kind of okay, and there was some stuff on the front, but they got jackets on. Can't see it that well, but they got outer vests on. There you go. So they got all this stuff to the front right here. Now, I don't know what their policies are, if they can only have certain things on there, but there are some people who work for either a law enforcement agency or security company that don't have any specific policies on what's to be carried on the outer vest, and they can put whatever they want on there in any kind of configuration they want. If you're able to do that, then I highly recommend that you put an actual blowout kit to the front of your vest right there and always have it on you. But aside from that, you can get a small blowout kit, something like a VOC, ventilated operator kit, and have it in your pocket. If you're going to have a Class B uniform, you got cargo pockets or whatever, easily throw it in there. Doesn't take up a whole lot of room. Put it in the front pocket. Doesn't take up a whole lot of room. You get the idea. You can carry a minimal amount of stuff to make a difference. And time is of essence in this. Like I said, it could be 10, 20 minutes before an ambulance gets out there. And if you don't have the tools to address any of these kind of traumatic injuries, you could be dead 5 times over by the time the ambulance gets there. If you bleed out from an artery hit and it takes the ambulance 20 minutes to get there, there's not a damn thing they're going to be able to do. I don't care if they bring the fucking doctor and the entire goddamn emergency room with them. You're gone. It took too long for them to get there to do anything to you. You're dead. So when it comes to pre-hospital care, there's two terms. There's Platinum 10 and the Golden Hour. These are references to time. The Platinum 10 means the first 10 minutes. So within the first 10 minutes of a person incurring a traumatic injury and being able to have pre-hospital care provided to them, that increases their chances of survival by X amount of percent. If within the first hour of person having a traumatic injury and receiving pre-hospital care and being delivered to a doctor within that hour, that increases their chances by survival by X amount of percent. I don't remember what those percentages are, but it increases it by a lot, especially the Platinum 10, depending on the traumatic injury. Those minutes are crucial. The seconds are crucial. You can bleed to death in 90 seconds from a femoral artery hit. 90 seconds, your ass is dead. Ain't no ambulance in the world going to get to you in 90 seconds. It's just not going to happen. So you got to have the tools and you got to have the knowledge on medical care, especially if you're going to be in very rural areas. Again, something like this area, it could be 20 minutes before an ambulance gets out there. All right, that's it. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.